Okay, so let's move on. The second tip that I have for you for making your fills more interesting and expanding your repertoire is to take some of the notes that you would usually play with your hands and replace them with kick drum notes. If you can start implementing hand foot combinations into your playing, you can come up with some really hip fills. This is something that a lot of great drummers use all the time, and it's been around forever across all kinds of styles. I'll play a couple simple examples for you so you can see what I'm talking about. So we'll start with just simple single stroke triplets down the toms, something like this. Now what we'll do is take one of the notes in each triplet grouping and replace it with a bass drum note. So instead of, let's say we replace the first note, we'll get something like this. And then if you incorporate that into the fill, instead of, you get this. Or let's say we want to replace the second note in each grouping. You get this instead. Or the third note. Okay, so now I'll play it a little faster in context with a groove. The next example is actually going to be the same fill that we did at the beginning. Single strokes down the toms. Now let's go ahead and replace some of those notes with kick drum notes. We'll use doubles on the kick drum this time. I'll play that in context with a groove. What I would recommend is to start by working on these ideas separately until you get comfortable with playing them evenly and switching between your hands and feet comfortably. And then you can start combining them and flowing from one into the other. And that's when you really start to come up with some really creative, cool fill ideas. I'll give you some examples. Okay, so now we'll move on to the third and final tip that I have for you. And that is, that might be a bit cliche at this point, but it's to practice your rudiments. I know you've probably heard that a million times before, but it truly is the best way to expand your fill repertoire. If you practice all the different rudiments and get comfortable with them, and especially comfortable transitioning between them and playing combinations, that gives you all kinds of ideas that you can pull out of the hat for fills. You just have to apply the rudiments that you would normally play on the snare drum to the toms and the bass drum and whatnot. Things like single strokes, double strokes, paradiddles, and all the variations of the paradiddle, flam rudiments, drag rudiments, all of those things are really going to expand your vocabulary when it comes to playing drum fills. I'll go ahead and play some examples for you of rudiments applied to the drum set. Okay, so let's take a paradiddle, for instance. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. If you start applying that to the drum set, you can come up with some simple fills like or you can take a combination of paradiddle rudiments. There's a fun one that's 2 paradiddle diddles followed by a regular paradiddle that goes something like this. And if you speed it up a bit and apply the accented notes around the toms, you can get something like this. That's a fun one. Flam rudiments are fun to play around the drums as well, so like flam accents, for instance. If you play the left hand on the snare drum and the right hand on the toms, you can do things like this. That one's also fun if you play it in terms of 16th notes instead of triplets. You can do something like there's all kinds of possibilities that open up when you start applying rudiments to the drum set, so I really recommend that you work on that. I'll go ahead and play some examples for you of fills that are just based on rudiments. Okay, so that's all just rudiments. Single strokes, double strokes, paradiddles, flam accents. I did 6-stroke rolls in there too. That's a fun one. Work that one up to speed. There's just endless possibilities, so definitely check that out. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the 3 tips for playing more interesting drum fills and expanding your repertoire, but things don't stop there. Once you familiarize yourself with all 3 of those ideas, what you really want to do is combine them and start putting them together. Once you've worked on that for a while and you become more comfortable playing with dynamics while also adding the kick drum and messing around with different rudiments on the drum set, that's when things really will start to open up for you and you'll really start to improve your drum fills. So to close out the video, what I'm going to do is play some examples of fills that kind of incorporate all 3 of these ideas so you can hear what I'm talking about. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I really hope that you were able to get something helpful out of the ideas we talked about. Please like if you did enjoy the video, and subscribe for more music content. Until next time, keep on drumming.